Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. We are here for another exciting episode of Boss Talks. I'm Kristine Drummond, and I've got the incredible Joel Lord with me today. And we are talking all about pushing limits today, not just in your business life, but also in your personal life, maybe in your sporting or your fitness life as well, in your relationships. We're going to get deep and dirty today, aren't we, Joel?
Gee whiz. This could go into the explicit, I think.
Where do we start with pushing limits, mate? I mean, let's start with schools, because I know that we're noticing some things out there in schools, and we know that people are kids are getting encouraged for participation, and there's a bit of competitiveness that's being lost in that. And I'm all for positivity and, encouraging kids to participate, but we don't want them to lose that inner hunger, do we? That inner belief and confidence and, pushing those limits to see what they can achieve as well. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think rewarding people for participating is amazing, because, honestly, if you fail to participate, that's how you fail at life. So you've got to get in the game. And also, I think that I'm not so sure if I see it as much now, but there was a point in time where they were giving a trophy out for anything. And what I think that does is, at the end of school, you get into the market in the real world, and the real world doesn't give you a trophy for participation. It gives you a punch in the face. And it's particularly if you're in business, it's a gladiator sport. You want to be, it's ruthless out there. There are people out there that want to end your business career because competition is fierce, and I don't see that changing. And I think that in the schools that they should probably be preparing people for what it's like in the real world. And I think we could do a schools podcast, and I can get really controversial there. I didn't like school, so I have my strong opinions. But I think they should be preparing kids, and I don't think they do. I think that the tendency is to make them a bit soft, and I think it really shows in a lot of people in this generation. They just for example, we live in an amazing country. In Australia, and I'm hoping everyone that is listening to this is in an amazing country, and people can still find a way to not enjoy it. Find a way to lose, find a way to, not be grateful and not have a go. And relying on the government, relying on handouts, relying on all that. And I think it really just comes back to the fact that they're too frightened to push their bloody limits. Mm-hmm. So
I agree. And I grew up in country New South Wales in the Riverina, and growing up, we played every sport possible. We played AFL and cricket and soccer and basketball, rugby, whatever we could. And we played it for fun, but we also wanted to win. We had that competitive spirit, and I think it's really helped shape who we are as adults. And it gives you this resilience and strength and courage, and you have to draw on so many traits. And it is about pushing those limits. It's about seeing what your physical ability can cope with, but also your mental ability. We made it quite far at state level in a few sports, and it was amazing, the mental toughness of the kids that were competing at that level. And I think it really does help set us up for success. Now, I've got a 6-year-old daughter. She's actually turning 7 tomorrow, which is cool. And there's not one competitive bone in her body just yet, but that's okay, because she's got the creative side. But what I try to teach her is that in anything that she does, it's all about just trying your best, pushing it beyond what you think you are capable of doing. And as long as she does that, then I'm okay with whatever she does in her life. But I love the fact that sport is such a great way for people to see what their body can do. And what's that old saying? What your mind believes, your body achieves. Now, a few years ago, I decided to run 10 kilometers backwards for a charity. Now, I love to do things a little bit out of the ordinary to see what my body can do and my mentality. And I have to say, the year before I ran a marathon, and running the 10Ks backwards, I found tougher than running the marathon. Wow. And my calf muscles were sore for months running backwards. I just don't think our bodies are supposed to run that way. But you know what? It was fun. And I did cop a little bit of abuse, actually, from people. Thought I was crazy for doing it during the race. So they actually helped egg me on. So thank you to those people that stirred me up. And but what I did find as well was it just took my confidence and my belief in myself to a whole new level. Like I didn't even train for it. The furthest I'd gone was a kilometre backwards, and I thought, oh yeah, I've got this. 10Ks will be easy, and that was it. That was the training that I did. But that was all about getting out of my comfort zone and really pushing that mental toughness and that physical, those physical limits as well. And just to bring this into perspective, you know, I do have a personal training background, and when I fell pregnant with both my kids, I saw so many people, so many women who are pregnant that are told to stop exercising, or they just decide to stop exercising. And if your body is used to it, and mine was used to doing lots of crazy stuff. I love plyometrics. I love all the jump lunges and bench jumps and all that kind of stuff. So I continued that through my pregnancy. People saw me at the gym 6 months pregnant doing box jumps and stuff, you know, and it was amazing. I felt so physically and mentally strong because I was pushing the boundaries within a safe thing. I'm not going to, you know, danger the lives of these kids, but it was all about that mental toughness and knowing what my body could put up with, I guess. And I didn't know what my body could do when I was pregnant, because we don't know. Our hormones are all over the place and our mindset is all over the place. But I think, having those opportunities, whether you take them or you miss them, allows you to grow and evolve as a stronger, better version of yourself every day.
Yeah. And like someone, like, I guess the inspiration for this has been a guy called the Iron Cowboy. His name's James Lawrence, and he did 50 Ironman triathlons back to back in 50 days, obviously, in 50 different states. So like when you think about 50 states, like that includes going over to from like Alaska all the way to Hawaii and being able to make it. And like he had to take the last flight out to get from Hawaii to Alaska to just in time to get in the water for the first one. So for those of you who don't know what an Ironman triathlon is, it's 180 Ks on a bike.
Wow. It's
a 42.2 kilometer marathon, and it is a 4 kilometer swim. I actually can't read it at the moment, but anyway, could you imagine doing that back to back? And what he actually said was, I heard him speak recently, and he said most people give up when their body gives up. Like they give up like before their mind becomes in alignment with their body, and that's when the magic happens. That's when the miracles happen. So like I'm not even claiming that I'm ever going to do one of those, but when you think about it, like I've been a distance runner, I've been a sprinter, I've been like in sports that are fairly tough, and you're out there running, and you're competing against everyone, but you're really competing against yourself, and you're pushing the limits. Like, and there's been runs that I've done that I'm thinking like, I'm just about to like black out on the track. Like I'm literally, I'm done, but I still kept going, and had I listened to my brain saying that just to give up, well then like what growth would I miss out on? You know, because you don't grow if you're not outside your comfort zone, if you're not pushing your limits. So like, the whole, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, like, you know, the science behind this better than I do, but for me to grow bigger muscles and to get more endurance, I need to put them under stress to tell the body that I need more muscle, and that's how muscle's grown. There is nothing different about that in the mind, in mindset and spirit. There's nothing different about that in business. If you want to grow and you want to have an exceptional life, you have to be outside your comfort zone. You have to be willing to take the risks and push the limits. Like you could have torn a calf muscle on your backwards run. I don't know what I could have done. Like there's plenty of things that could have gone. I could have torn hamstrings. I could have had lots of things But like, I still think that risk is better than not knowing.
Exactly.
You know,
I agree.
You know, if you leave it on the track, like at least you know. Like, I don't think I ever got off a race where I went, oh, you know, I could have gone harder then. I was like, literally, I wish I'd gone a bit easier at the start, so that last couple of Ks wasn't so bad. But yeah, so that's happening, and the same's happening in business. There's been businesses times for me, and it was for many years, where I was building companies, and I'm thinking, holy crap, I can't do this. And you've just got to find a way. And like the Iron Cowboy said, be perfect for 1 second. Be perfect for 1 second and take that next step. You know, and the next time you hear Bear Grylls, like he's saying exactly the same thing. Like these people that have really shown what you can do with human endurance, and they've been successful in all areas of your life, because it's transferable. What you learn on the sports field, you can transfer into podcasting, into anything you want. But yeah, just take that. Be perfect for a second. I thought that was brilliant, because he was James Lawrence said he was 4 in and he was done. He's 4. He had like, I think he's 3 or 4 in, and he had like 46 to go, and he's like, I'm done. I can't do anymore.
Yeah.
And he just said, no, I just need to be perfect for 1 second and take 1 step forward. And yeah. So
I love that, mate. And you can apply that to any aspect of your life, you know. So in like, if I'm doing a stair session, I have in my mind the number of stairs that I want to get done and the number of sets. So I get there, and it's usually about 4 or 5 in. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm going to get to 10, or I'm going to get to 20, or whatever. Your mind starts playing tricks on you. But once I get there to that goal of 10 or 20 or whatever it is, then I say to myself, let's do one more. Yeah. I go beyond it every time. It's the same if I'm running, doing sprint sessions. I won't just do the 100 meters. I'll run 10 meters past. You know, I go that little bit extra, because that's where the growth is. It's the same with your weights. You know, as Joel said, if you want to build bigger muscles, you've got to tear the muscles so that they can repair and become stronger, bigger and stronger. So in business, well, let's start with relationships. In relationships, it's exactly the same thing. What can you do to go that extra mile in your relationship? Maybe it's your relationship with your kids. Maybe it's an extra cuddle, an extra 5 minutes mucking around playing tickle time or something. Maybe it's getting the kids on your lap and reading them an extra story. Maybe it's, booking a date night for your partner and actually arranging to have him or her picked up, or something different, you know, going that extra mile. And then in business, it might be that you set out to do a certain number of calls or a certain number of reach outs for the day, but then you get there to that number and you do an extra 2, you do an extra 5, whatever it is. Pushing those limits is what's going to help build that muscle in all areas of your life. And I think that's so important. And sometimes I do this a lot. I just do enough, just enough to get by. Just enough to, you know, stay in the comfort zone. So I have to regularly check in and go, what am I doing? Am I playing above the line? Am I pushing past that comfort zone and evolving and growing? Because if you're not evolving, guys, you're dying. Okay, so you've got to get out of your comfort zone. Nothing grows there. There's so much science around it, you know. And if you're happy and you feel really fulfilled in your comfort zone, then absolutely stay there if you don't want to change anything. But if you know that you want a better life, you want a better quality of life, a more inspired life, if you know you could be doing more, then it's time to get uncomfortable. So that's what we're going to move into now, isn't it? We're going to talk a little bit, well, you've just started something today, actually. Do you want to share that with the listeners? Oh, my goodness, listen to what Joel's doing now.
So from that podcast I listened to with Andy Frisilla on it, there's a thing. He's created he was talking to the Iron Cowboy, and he thought he had this great idea. 75 days, a 75-day challenge where you have to follow a meal plan.
And that's any meal plan, isn't it?
Any meal plan. Yep. So I'm going to do the Shred 10 for 7.5 times. So the maths is like I've already done my workout today, so the maths is affecting me. And then I've got to do 2 45-minute exercises. So it could be, like, I run anyway every day. So I've just got to add a walk-in or a gym session or anything like that. I think he's talking to mainly people that sit in gyms. I'm an outside guy anyway, so like I'm sort of halfway there anyway. I've got to drink 4 liters of water a day, which I do anyway. So I'm sort of 3/4 of the way there. I can see, and there's no alcohol. And then you got to read 10 pages of a personal development book every day, which I do most days anyway.
Yep.
So I'm pretty good. The only thing I got to do is like not have a cheat meal ever. Otherwise, if you stuff this up at all, you got to go back to day 1. So I could be on day 74 and then I eat a slice of cake and I'm done. I got to go back. So I'm not going to do that. And like the reason why I'm doing this is like for the challenge. I know that to be great, I need to be outside my comfort zone. I need to be growing continually. And like, I think that the people that are comfortable in their comfort zone, I think the universe is going to come along one day and give them a touch up.
Mm-hmm.
I think something's going to come along and, you know, it's okay to be there to enjoy your family and enjoy life. I just also believe that you need to be growing because, like you said, if you're either evolving or dissolving, growing or you're dying, and like nothing stays the same. Like, you know, like so, you know, you got one ticket that we know of. So yeah, make it the best ticket, and you know, just see in the allotted time that you have left, like it's finite. How good can you get? Like, how good can you get? Like, don't accept mediocrity. Don't accept like that it's okay to be like a 5 out of 10 when you know you were born to be like I say many times, like there's never been a doctor in the history of the planet that's ever like helped give birth to a baby and gone, oh, here's an average one. They're always amazing.
Yep.
And we've got unlimited potential. We're in the universe with the infinite field of possibilities. So that means anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
So why be like basically a sook and just play at half pace? Like I just think that we've all got a business in us. We've all got a hit single. Like you look at the Oscars not so long ago. Like Lady Gaga got told she was never going to make it. She's never going to be anything. Well, she didn't listen. She played full out. Like I don't know what else can we say about that. Like push your limits. Like leave it all out on the field.
Absolutely. I love that. And the thought that I just had has left my head. So, hey?
That's fine because, like, my mentality is like, we've done stairs together and I would not give those stairs the benefit of knowing they beat me. I certainly wouldn't give the benefit to walk home and just sitting on the lounge later and going, oh, shit, I am actually still alive. I could have kept going. Like, there's no way. Yeah. Like, and then you have good friends that bring weight suits to make it even harder, and you do it anyway. You know, so whatever tricks you got to use on your mind's a tricky character. It's going to talk you out of stuff. So you need to hack the system. And some of the ways I hack it is like, there's just like, I think that every step is worth $1 million to me in my business. Mm-hmm. Would you walk up another step for $1 million? Yes, you would. Would you, if Annie Priscilla or someone that is like someone that you hold in high regard was there, would you keep running? Like, is there someone else out there that you can have a friendly competition with that they don't even know that you're in competition with them? I have some of those guys that I know that are really fit. I'm thinking, if they were there, would I keep running? Like, or are they out there training now? Would they do an extra one? And that's what I do. And I do that in business because, you know, someone, while you're having a rest, your competition's out there training because they want to take you out. So. Yeah,
absolutely. I love that. And there's so many tricks to be able to push the limits. One of my favorite memories of being a personal trainer was we took this group of women out on a jog with my business partner at the time, Johnny, and shout out to Johnny because he had an operation today, so I hope you're okay, Johnny. But we took this group of women out that had never really run in their lives. You know, they'd done maybe a round the block pretty much. And we didn't tell them how far we were going. So we just went out along this, along the waterfront here on the Gold Coast. And we were out there for, probably 2 hours. And when we got back, the girls asked us how far we went. And I must admit that a lot of these girls, some of them were bigger girls. And I remember just doing the whole, you're not walking, you're not giving up, you're going to get to the end, you know, all the motivational stuff that we do as a PT. And some of the women were just, they wanted to, and they wanted to cry, and they nearly broke down, and we got them through to the end. And when we told them that they'd just run 14.1 kilometers, there was just tears. There was just absolute tears, and the emotion. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, because it's one of my favorite memories that really shows what can happen when you push the limits. And those women, some of them have gone on to just be consistent runners. Their health has gone to a whole new level. Their fitness has gone to a whole new level, because we gave them the backbone. We gave them the belief system that they are flippin' unstoppable when they put their mind to it. And all they needed was that little bit of motivation to get them over the line. Now, when I was running my marathon, I got to the last 5Ks and I was out. I'm like, nah, this is crap. I don't know why people do this. This is horrible. Why would you put your body through this? And in those last 5Ks, I started to think about my mum, who had beaten cancer, my best friend who had beaten cancer. And I thought, man, if these people can beat cancer, then I can get my ass to the end of that finish line. And I did. That's what got me through. I just kept thinking about these stories of inspiration. And I think that's what we have to do. And also tricking your mind as well. Something that my trainer uses in the gym is we pretend that we haven't done just one, like 4 rounds. If we're doing 5 rounds of something, we just pretend we're starting. This is the start. Here's round 1, you know, when I've just about had it and do feel like vomiting. So there's lots of little mind tricks that you can play on yourself. And I love using that one as well. Joel introduced me to the 1 million, 2 million. And sometimes my kids come to the gym with me as well. So that's great motivation, because first and foremost, I'm doing it for myself. But secondly, I'm doing it for them. I'm being the example. I want to be around when they're older and when they've got kids. I want to be that fit grandmother, you know. So this is all about pushing your boundaries, pushing your limits, so you can be the best flippin' version of yourself. You know, and to do that, guys, you have to vibrate at a higher level. You've got to start thinking differently. You've got to start backing yourself. You know, just give things a crack. And something that I say to myself before I step into the gym every day is just do your best today. Just do it. And then when I'm in there, I draw on every bit of frustration and anger that I can to pump out the best sets that I can do. And I remember one time when my trainer got me to climb one of those ropes. Have you ever done that? That stupid rope climb. It's really, really hard, but I wasn't in the right frame of mind. So every time I kept going up, I kept slipping, and it just looked pathetic. It really did. He was like, oh, let's regress you down to the floor, and you just sit there and then you pull yourself up from the floor. And I'm like, I'm better than this. So I said, just give me 30 seconds. I walked away, and for 30 seconds, I absolutely pumped myself up. I unleashed that inner beast. I went back over there with fury in my eyes and fire in my belly, and I flipping got to the top of that rope and climbed all the way back down. And everyone in the gym gave me an applause. And I couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it. And it was just that I just flicked a switch. That's all it was. And sometimes that's all you need in business, in relationships. And it's just a flick of a switch. And then you can push past what you think you are capable of doing.
Outstanding. Like, my little trick is, like, if I'm running, I've said it on a previous podcast, but if I'm running and I feel like stopping, and I think if there was a tiger chasing me, could I keep running? And I ask that all the time, and I've only actually ever said no once, and that was when I was running up Mount Lofty. I was like, I'm going to get eaten. There's a tiger here. I'm done. I couldn't even lift my arms up, but it was amazing. So, like, something I want to bring up is like people will push themselves more than for other people than they will for themselves. You know, often I go to events and the questions asked, like, if you needed $1 million in the next week to save a family member, like, you know, just pretends there's a gun or there was an illness or something at one of your family members' heads, and the only way you could do it is to make $1 million. No one ever sits and goes, oh, maybe. They all go, absolutely. It's like so much certainty, fury. And you just think, well, then you get asked the question, like, well, if you could do that for someone else, why can't you go out and make even $2,000 or $3,000 in the next week for yourself? and people they just don't do it. So like, I'm curious because you like, I got coaching background, and I turn people around in coaching, and you've done your PT. Like, what sort of excuses are in people's heads? Like, I have ones that they're frightened of failure, or they're complacent. They either say it's not for them, or it's like, you know, the outstanding life isn't for them. And that really drives me insane, because you're only here for one reason. That's a masterpiece life, and I don't tolerate anything less. So what do you hear?
Oh, fear of failure is a big one. And that was one that I really struggled with. That, you know, one of my PTs that used to coach me, he was like, he pushed me to failure. And I walked out of there and I was so upset that I had to fail in this gym session. You know, it tore me to bits. But he teaches you to fail because you need to know what to do with the bar, what to do with the weights when you actually fail. So, you know, you don't want him to crush you or buckle you or whatever. But I just kept going to a certain comfort zone where I knew I couldn't fail, and then I wasn't getting the growth that I wanted. So sometimes we have to push past that fear of failure. And it's the same in business and in life. I see so many people have that fear of failure that it paralyzes them. You know, and that fear of failure comes with fear of judgment and shame. They don't want to feel shame around it. Oh, what if I say this, put this post up? What if I, you know, do this and then I get judged, or people don't like me, or I feel embarrassment around it? Who gives a shit? You know, those people aren't putting food on your table. Those people are not paying your bills. So you've got to get over that fear of failure. Mine was fear of success. I thought that if I got too successful, it would put a strain on my family unit. I thought that it would put a strain on my relationship with my hubby and with my kids. And I thought that I would have to sacrifice some things in regards to those relationships. And that's why I was holding myself back. I was actually self-sabotaging myself in business because I didn't want that. I loved my relationship with my partner. I loved the relationship I've got with my kids. And again, it was comfortable. Now that I've got over that bullshit limiting belief, my relationships have been enriched. They've gone to another level. My business has gone to another level, and I'm growing and evolving my relationships at the same time that I'm growing and evolving my business, and the same time I'm growing and evolving myself. So they're all raising up at the same time. And that's the gift that we get to give other people, you know. And if you take nothing else away from this podcast today, please just have a look at your life and go, what's one extra thing I can do? What's the extra mile I can do in regards to parenting, in regards to my relationship, in regards to my relationship with myself, in regards to my business or my work? Maybe it's just something extra you do at work. And I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine, Jess Garland, and she did something really nice for someone who she'd had a little bit of conflict with in the workplace, but just decided to go the extra mile. She decided to confront the person head on and just say, look, when you're like this, a bit hard to work with. And she went and slipped a little Kit Kat with this person's name on it in the fridge, just a nice little gift to say, you know, we love having you here. And that because they'd had that radical communication and she'd left that, you know, little chocolate bar, it was just such a nice way to push the limits, to get outside her comfort zone and recognize someone that even though they're not perfect, you can still have that, that radical communication with someone that allows you both to grow. And now that relationship has grown and evolved because of it. So communication is so key in these areas as well. So yeah, I don't even know what the question was now.
It was a good question. It was a good question though. It was amazing. Yeah, it was a good question. So like you brought up that you can have the amazing relationship, you can have the amazing business, you can have all the success, and something that like helps people do that is just, that's an abundance mindset. This and that, like you can have an amazing car and the amazing house to park the car in, and you can have the amazing relationship and the amazing business. Anything else other than that thought is scarcity, and you're just going to chase off any success. You're actually telling the universe that you don't like success, and it's not going to send you what you don't like. It's actually there to give you what you want. So you just got to be very specific about that as well. So, you know, like think about one thing like that you can do today that's expansive. if you can do that and take action on that and just like make that your mantra every day, wake up and say, what's one expansive action I can take today that's going to better my life?
Let's give them some examples.
Do the 75 hard. You could go to a networking event.
Mm-hmm.
You can make more sales calls.
Yep.
You can do personal development. You can eat healthier. You can meal prep. You can do heaps of things.
Run the extra kilometre.
Yeah, run the extra K. Like, just think, if you started, like I did the maths when I first started running when I came up here, and I worked out if I ran the maths will be different, but like basically just think, if you every day for 365 days you ran the width of a 2-lane road extra every day, how much further you'd go? It'd be like in the kilometers. It'd be massive. So
amazing.
you know, you could run an extra 100 meters every day, and you know, you could start off at a kilometer and you'd be flying by the end of the year. So you could do stuff like that. So make it fun. Like, you know, yes, pushing yourself, pushing your limits may not feel fun all the time, but you're going to have gratitude and you're going to feel great and amazing and accomplished. Like, imagine what walking around more often with a sense of accomplishment would be.
And you can attach rewards to it as well.
Yeah.
So if you push yourself past this limit, and I did this the other day, I had some sales targets that I wanted to meet, and I thought, if I meet that, I'm going to book myself in for the float tank. And I did it. I got the number of calls and reach outs and everything done in my business, and I actually doubled my work activities for the day. And that was my reward, was going to the float tank. And I felt flippin' amazing after that.
Every week I do the 75 hard. I'm going to get a really great massage because I deserve it if I'm doing like 16 Ks a day and exercise. So I guess the final thing is for me, like that triggers my mindset is like, what else is there? You know, it's not acceptable to me to be in the same place I've always been. I want to grow. And, you know, if you're scared, if you're frightened, if you've got fear, just ask yourself, like, what are you more frightened of? Like regret when you're 90 and you don't have any more time, or, you know, the possibility that someone is going to call your name or say something nasty to you, or, you know, and the truth is no one gives a shit. They are only worried about themselves and they're worried about what is in it for them. So they might look at your Facebook post, or they might look at you might do a sales call that's terrible. You might start a business that fails. And realistically, no one gives a shit. They won't care. They certainly won't care after a year. They certainly won't care after a week. They probably won't care when they go home and wonder what's for dinner.
Exactly.
They don't care. So all this stuff about what people will say is in your head, not theirs. And you've got no right to be in their head. So just stop using that as an excuse and get out there and do the 75 hard, or your version of it. Do the business version of it. Do the relationship version of it. Come up with 5 things that would expand your whatever area of your life that you want to expand, and just have a go.
Just have a crack.
Have a crack. That's all there is to it. Like, just, yeah. And because no one else is going to. Why would you expect anyone else to back you if you don't back yourselves? And no one's coming to save you. No one is going to come in here and hand us an award-winning podcast. No one's going to hand us a multi-million-dollar business. It's just not going to happen. We need to create that ourselves. And you know what? If we didn't create an award-winning podcast, which this deserves awards for sure, right now we should be number 1. We're working on it. But like, at least we'll know. At least we had a go. We just, you know, and it really is, you don't need to make it so hard. You just need to you just need a phone. You don't even need a computer. We've moved to doing it on Zoom. We've got like a mic now. But the first one I did was just on a phone. And there's apps to do it. Like, anyone can have a podcast. Just do it. Yeah. Anyone can have a side hustle. Anyone can start an online business. Anyone can get fit. Mm-hmm. It's just, everything else is just a story you're telling in your head, and it's all bullshit. Yep. So, yeah, I don't know. Is that good?
Amazing. And just remember that your greatest gift to the world is being your healthiest, happiest version. And you're not going to get that if you keep playing in your comfort zone and you're just content. So what can you do to be your healthiest, happiest version? And that's adding more things into your everyday life that bring you joy. It's about expanding and evolving. And when you are pushing those limits, you feel like you've achieved something. You feel gratitude and pride in yourself. And when you can do that, that's when you start receiving it from other people. So go out there and be your kick-ass selves. Like, go above and beyond and just keep vibrating at the higher level and move to that next level of consciousness and be open-minded people and be kind. And yeah, and if you do that, you're going to live an incredible life. You really are. So that's it from us today. That was another podcast from Boss Talks, and we can't wait to bring you next week's podcast. So don't forget to share this as well. That's that's the only cost of this podcast that we ask, is that you do share it if you've got a lot of value out of it. So have an incredible week, guys.
Damn. Yeah.